Hello people. So today in this live session I'm gonna talk about MySQL and all the database concepts right from the scratch, and this particular live playlist has been recorded specifically for the interview purpose. So I'm just keeping a heading. This is for the interview purpose. So it's pretty much useful for MySQL interviews. So whenever you plan to apply for any jobs, especially when you are actually trying to apply for a SQL oriented jobs or MySQL oriented jobs, it's pretty much important to have a clear cut understanding about MySQL and all the databases concepts. So okay, so but before that we just have to look at a particular term called data. Here I'll be explaining you all the concepts through these terminologies. So when I say terminologies, I won't be explaining you just like a story and all, because it would be at some point of time you would definitely feel boring. So that's the reason I'm actually uh, proceeding to explain you all the concepts through these different terminologies. So when you just revise a particular terminology, you'll be revisiting or you'll be refreshing all the concepts related to that particular terminology. So that's the reason. Okay, so let's start. So the first term I would like to discuss about is data. So what is mean by data? If you ask me this particular question, I would describe the data in terms of few bullet points. So data is nothing but what? So when you have a hell lot of information, you call it as a data. So in interview point of view, you can frame it like this. It's a collection. It's a collection of different small units of information. If we collect different types of information and if we keep it together, we can call it as a data. When I say data, how does it appear? Like how does it look like? Data can be in many forms or many formats. So what are those formats? It can be in textual format. It can also be in numbers, and it can also be in media. So when I say media, it can be of any medium. Like for example, it can be in a audio format, and it can also be in a video bytes. When I say video bytes, MP4, etc., whatever it is, and etc. So information, or so the data can be in many forms like text, numbers, media, audio, or video, etc., whatever. And also the data can also be stored. It can also be stored in a piece of paper. It can also be stored in a piece of paper. For example, if you have a A4 sheet and you are writing a particular document, if you want to write an essay in your school, they have conducted an essay. Your teacher has conducted an essay, and they have asked you to write an essay about global warming, and you have started writing it on a piece of paper, specifically on A4 sheet. Then that becomes a data. Okay, that's a valuable information about global warming, so that becomes a data. So data can also be stored in a piece of paper, or it can also be stored in any electronic form. When I say in any electronic form or electronic memory, you can consider like any memory card. if you have any memory card or anything like hard disk, etc., pen drive, whatever it is. Basically, it's a kind of electronic form. So I mean to say is data can also be stored on a single piece of paper, or it can also be stored in any of the electronic forms such as memory cards, hard disks, any kind of disks basically, etc. Okay. So now with this you have got some clarity regarding what is mean by this data, but you can also you may be wondering like, then what is about information, and we also have information, then what is it and what is mean by data? See, data is also a kind of information. Data is a information which further can be translated, which can be translated into a form. But why are we actually translating this into any form? For easy movements, for easy movement and processing. So I would give you an example, like we have a piece of paper and we also have a pen drive. In this single piece of paper, you can only write an essay, let's say of maybe 150 words. You can only write an essay, or you can only write anything literally which is of 150 words. But in a single pen drive which is of 8 GB, you can store, imagine some uh, 50 movies at least. You can store 50 movies, or you can store some 5 lakh PDFs, whatever it is. So I mean to say is, here in this particular form, that is in pen drive, the transaction or the readability, whatever it is pretty much efficient, because here you can store like hell number of PDFs and hell number of documents and any kind of data, basically whether it is in a video format or whatever it is. But on a single piece of paper you can only write, and you can't do anything except writing, that too only 150 words. That is the word limit that you can hardly write. Beyond that you can't. Maybe you can write like 10 to 20 words extra, but like you can't write some 5,000 words or something like that in a single piece of paper, because that's the limitation that you have when it comes to this particular format, that is the paper format. But when it comes to this pen drive format, it doesn't have any limitation. Of course it has a limitation of 8 GB, beyond that it can't be stored, but within this 8 GB you can store a lot of information. So that's why translation of data from one form to another form is pretty much important when it comes to data. So that's the reason data is an information which can be translated into a form for its easiest movement and processing. If you want to process it, then data is a kind of information which is translated.